Welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we're here to bring you an exciting show about toxins causing disease, how that happens, what happens once you're full of toxins, what you can do about it, how to stay healthy and get cleaned up. So with that being said, Dr. Lewis, could you inform us today about where autoimmune disease comes from and why these toxins are creating havoc in our system?
Yeah, I'm going to talk a lot about that. And, you know, the people that seem to get the best results are the ones that find a plan they're excited about and stick with it. You know, in our age today of so many people getting on the internet or Google, they don't stick with things as much as they should. So, you know, we have a pretty high percentage of people that do stick with it. So I compliment you, and it makes it much easier to practice that way because I know that our efforts go very, very appreciated. And Janet and I put a lot of effort into this. We put a lot of effort into your functional health reports, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just going to do a lot of rambling. I'm going to go all kinds of diseases about different toxins and some of the supplements that you might be able to take, but just something to think about because it's not enough to know the answer. It's the people that do what they know that get the best results. One of the things, and I've already got so many podcasts already written, so one of the big things now for the last several decades is statin drugs, and I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a chiropractor, so, you know, I don't have a lot of opinion. I don't tell people to get off their drugs. That's between them and their primary care physician. But the people that come in, and we see them by the dozens all the time, that they're on a statin drug. And what happens is they walk in, and we'll assess them through their low-cost lab work. What's considered reasonable and customary is not necessarily in your best interest. And many times we see a medication-induced coenzyme Q10 deficiency because of the statin drugs. Now, what happens then? That can lead to depression, fatigue, mitochondrial dysfunction, which means you lose your energy because the mitochondria can't do that. It can actually lead to high blood pressure, which puts you at a higher risk for a heart problem, even though your cholesterol looks beautiful on paper. It can increase your risk of something called cardiomyopathy, congestive heart failure, and many, many other things. But you look really, really pretty on paper with your cholesterol levels. So I tell people, just because it's reasonable and customary does not mean it's common sense. Yeah. You know, there's about 16,000 patients a year that die in the hospital just from GI hemorrhaging that's secondary to a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. So think Advil, Tylenol, Aleve, that kind of thing. That's reasonable and customary. I think 16,000 patients, I think that's too much. And some of the people that put these research articles out, and some of them are just opinions on the research, think that 16,000 is very, very underreported. And they think it's so-called reasonable and customary for about 100,000 patients to get congestive heart failure secondary to NSAIDs use. That's Advil, Tylenol, Aleve, that sort of thing. So, you know, bypass surgeries are 50 grand plus, way more than that now, as far as I know. Some people, their opinions, say that the leading cause of death in America are side effects from drugs. Now, you'll hear other people that say, well, it's this cancer or that, or, you know, heart disease. There was a article I read on Journal of American Medical Association that said far excess of 106,000 people die per year in the hospitals from diagnosed drug side effects. Now, just because it was reported doesn't mean that all of them get reported. So if the Journal of the American Medical Association says 106,000 people a year, that's from the diagnosed drug side effect. How many do you think it really is? So folks, pay attention. And the people that have the healthiest life are the ones that pay attention, the ones that take responsibility. the ones that can think for themselves, the one that can hear a good program for health care, not disease care, and they'll follow that program. And Janet and I are very, very blessed to have so many of you that just stick with it. You know, there's a guy named Rob up in, I think it's Point Orion, Michigan. He won't even talk to me. I gave him my cell phone number. He said, I just follow directions. And he gets better and better and better results because he's stuck with it for years. So, Rob, I'd like to have a lot more people like you, but I wish you'd call me just for the heck of it sometime. Sometimes you need to detox, and that's something that people kind of get halfway results because they kind of go off of it in a way that's not necessarily healthy. Far infrared sauna is a really, really good way to do that, but sometimes, folks, you don't need to do that. You need to build first. And I put a patient on some stuff the other day, and she was a young lady, like around 30. And before she even got on all the supplements, she's saying, well, can I take this because I need to detox my kidneys? I said, you don't need to detox. Your kidneys are working better than anybody I've seen in a long time. And I showed her on the lab. So get on a program and stick with it. Don't go to the next big thing. That's not the quick, easy, wise way of doing it. There was a study out of Puerto Rico, and this is talking about the epidemic of toxins that said 2-year-old girls in Puerto Rico were developing breast and full-blown menstrual cycles. That's from the toxins. Then you've got a study that said the toxins are causing dwarf penises of the Florida alligators, cancers in fish in the ocean, in the lake, ambiguous genitalia or abnormal mating behavior of wildlife in the woods. And this is from toxins. So we can't get away from the toxins, but you can put enough nutrition in your body so that it can have a greater ability to detox. But please don't do it just half-heartedly. Please do it under the advisement of somebody that understands nutrition, that understands toxins. It's very important to do it that way. There's also other studies that I've read that talked about prostate cancer, thyroid disorders. When I would guess about 2/3 of everybody we do the lab on has a suboptimal functioning thyroid.
When you say do the lab, for the new listeners out there that don't really understand what you're talking about, are you suggesting a specific panel to see these toxins and thyroid function, or what do you suggest if someone's looking into learning more about what we do?
Well, I almost always just recommend the comprehensive plus the hormones. You know, if you're male, male hormones. If you're female. And people will say, well, I don't have any sexual dysfunction. I said, I understand. But if we can see that there's a improper ratio of one hormone to the other, then we can do a better assessment of where you are and what we need to do about it.
So toxins actually decrease the male and female hormones. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and there may be an imbalance of, say, estradiol to progesterone. In women, I find that very common. I'm guessing, but maybe it's 8 or 9 people out of 10. It's like, well, you've got way too much estrogen and not enough progesterone. And then you wonder why there's an epidemic of infertility. You wonder why there's an epidemic of PMS and painful menstrual cycle. Some people bleed so much with their menstrual cycle, their body trying to get rid of these toxins, that they actually go low in ferritin, which is stored iron. And then they wonder why they're exhausted. And I just talked to the most sweet, sweet lady in Tennessee. She said, I finally figured out what was coming out of my mouth, and the word was exhausted, exhausted. Exhausted. She just, sounded out. And I showed her on lab. Well, this is why. Because you've exhausted. I said, oh, pun intended. Exhausted your adrenal glands, and you don't have enough ferritin or iron to carry the oxygen to oxygenate and your body and give it, plenty of energy. She says, wow, you're saying exactly what I feel. I said, it's my job. And I said, you will get better. So
there's really no way to guess and think, well, hey, I think I've got this figured out without seeing something on lab, correct?
I don't like to guess, and I don't like to spend too much money testing either, but I think it's foolish to not test some. Our labs are very, very, very thorough compared to what most people get. But some people want to just test for $10,000 worth, and then they don't want to do anything. I'm more of a, let's test and find out which direction we need to go on vacation and then take off and run with it.
Yeah. So when you're saying you're more thorough, the comprehensive panel you're talking about, that's 12 different panels, correct? And
Yeah.
where most people get, what, 1 to 3 panels?
Yeah, if they're lucky.
Okay. And like you said, that's not with the hormones. Right now, that's $298, and that includes Dr. Lewis's consultation. And that's available throughout the United States at a Quest diagnostic location near you. So you have to do it through our website, which it's on at greenwisdomhealth.com. There's a health survey, and it'll lead you to that comprehensive lab panel that includes everything, including a functional medicine report. So you can see for yourself, there's on the functional medicine report, there's greens, yellows, reds, which means good, caution, and stop.
Good, bad, and ugly.
Right. and it will tell you, it'll break it down for you and tell you, hey, look, you need to work in these areas on that part of your body, which, when you get a lab from a doctor, you generally don't understand a thing it says other than what they're telling you. So maybe that's a really great place to start with detox, is actually do a lab and then not guess, because like he said, it could be iron, it could be adrenals.
And sometimes you don't need to detox, because Brandy was just showing me an alert on a lab, and I said, oh yeah, that's the guy from this other state that's just bought some land here relatively close to us. He had an alert, his white blood cells were so low, and it's like, you don't need to detox then. You need to build.
And everybody thinks they need to detox. And, I like you to talk a little bit about that. I mean, that's what we hear a lot, besides weight loss. Hey, I want to detox because I think I need it, like you said the young lady did that came in our office. When you say you need to build, what is it that you see, the reason you think they need to build before they detox?
Well, sometimes a person's body is just so low and so beat up, it's like, well, your body can't spend any more energy trying to detox. You want to put in a pretty much overdose of good nutrients, because your body's, it's not really overdose, it's just you have to put in a lot so your body can have enough available so that it can actually take it and utilize it. People say, well, why do you need 200,000 RDAs of B12? Well, you're only going to get some of it, and just taking a good multivitamin, and most of them out there are not good. Most of them are like your crazy ex, so don't think of multivitamins all the same. Just taking a good multivitamin will give you enough the B vitamins so that you can detox under methylation in the liver. Then there's sulfation, glucuronidation, There's a lot of liver detoxification pathways. But, the first thing you do is drink enough purified water so that you urinate every hour and a half, 2 hours. If you're not doing that, you're not drinking enough water. And you got to go to have a bowel movement 2-3 times a day. And Janet's famous for that. So quit worrying about the details. And people say, well, what about this supplement? It doesn't go good, and this interferes with that. And I said, listen, if you're eating a really good, healthy meal, your body knows the difference. And so detox, first thing you want to do is just remove the toxins, the pathogenic organisms, the harmful foods. Janet is famous for buying me, new trucks, and she likes to spoil me. And I put the ionizer in the truck, turn the air conditioner on so that it detoxes the new truck smell. And she said, oh my God, I love that. I said, I know, but it's really, really toxic. So remove the toxins, remove the harmful organisms, which is usually yeast.
He's got a way of ruining all kind of good things that you grew up thinking were just wonderful when you were a kid. We all live for getting a new car, and then we have that new car smell one day, and then it's like, oh, it's really bad for you, and you don't think about it. And one time we went to a gas station, and I wanted some coffee, and I wanted some creamer, and they didn't have the real cream, but they had the little like the little carnation ones that said real half and half in there. And I thought, oh, wow. I thought, this is cool. These are in little packages. I'll just open them up, throw them in my coffee. And he said, do you know what they do to that so that it can stay room temperature? And I said, well, obviously not. And you're getting ready to tell me. He said, well, they radiate them. And I thought, oh, my goodness, I will never have another one of those again. But, most of us don't know these things. So it's little things we're doing all day long, probably, that are making us toxic from all of this stuff, right?
We're about to celebrate our 19th anniversary, and she said I'm good for another year or two. Maybe not after hearing that, but, and when they start shooting in the movie, I say, well, that's a 6-shooter back in the Western days, and they usually kept the hammer down on an empty chamber, so they only have 5 shots, and they just shot 37 shots and never reloaded. She says, when they pick up a Glock or an AR-15, one of those assault rifles, which are not assault rifles, they're defense rifles, I said, oh, good God, they've shot 187 times out of a 30-round magazine. She says, Stephen, you're ruining it for me. I said, well, Glocks don't go click, click, click when you pick them up. But so now I just say, oh, well, that's a Apple computer. And she says, oh, that's good, honey. So I'm sorry. I'm wrong, honey.
No, we're educating America now. I mean, now no one in their right mind will use one of those creamers that are out there on the counter.
Well, I still use them, but that's just not my first choice. I mean, you can't do it perfectly, and those people that try to do perfect, the stress they create in their mind is a lot worse than just drinking the dadgum thing and having fun with it. So back to the 4 R's, which really are 8 R's. But number 1, remove toxins. Number 2, replace with digestive enzymes. And even if your lab doesn't look like that's an imperative thing, it's never harmful to go ahead with good digestive enzymes. And it does so much good. It actually has an immune system boosting effect, and that kind of helps maximize alkalinity. But that's another subject. Oh, God, I just got so much to say. The 3rd R is reinoculate with friendly organisms. And, Janet and I are always off somewhere, so I had her order me some fermentation lids, and now we're fixing to go off on another 1.5-week trip. So when I get back from that, I'm going to begin to ferment my own friendly organisms. And the question is, do you just take what comes out of the air, or do you inoculate it with a starter kit? I think a starter kit's going to be better, so I'm going to try it both ways. So there's 3. Remove toxins, replace digestive enzymes, reinoculate friendly organisms, because probiotics, I could talk for days about how good they are. And then you repair the gut leakiness. Folks, that takes forever and a day, and that was one of the questions from Joe that we talked about on a previous podcast. He said, I didn't think gut healing would take this long. I said, well, Joe, if you just had good food in your body, but you're putting genetically modified food in your body that some people... We've heard this in, big seminars that we paid a lot of money to go to that says, well, you've got to continually fight to repair the gut leakiness. And we have more and more products that are doing a good job for that. And just to let you know, because people say, well, these supplements are not researched. And my answer to that is BS, belief system. And repair the leakiness. The Journal of Nutrition Cancer, for example, Journal of Gut has shown that fish oil is best with fiber, can decrease intestinal permeability. Fish oil and fiber can also help ulcers and neutralize H. pylori. Antacids increase the availability of essential fatty acids. Peppermint oil improves esophageal spasms by decreasing inflammation. Journal of Clinical Gastroenterology. I've got a list of all this research. Leakiness can be reduced by herbs like quercetin or quercetin, depending on how you want to pronounce it, and that's in many of our formulas. Licorice, Journal of Nutrition. Silmarian, Journal of Applied Nutrition. Barley, Journal of Digestion. Does that mean that if we drink a beer because it's made from barley, that would be okay?
Sure.
Yeah,
Anniversary's coming in.
Yeah, I got the stink eye on that one.
I want to address something before you keep going there about you say that the products aren't researched.
Yes, they are.
As far as difference in quality. We actually have a testimony from a patient of ours that she took the time. Thank you, Tricia.
We love you, Tricia. Have a glass of wine on me, babe.
for going on our Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis. It's a Facebook group. If you're not part of that, please add yourself to it. Dr. Lewis will accept you, where you can ask questions and hear answers of different things. But she took the time to actually write a little commentary about our reacted magnesium. A lot of the different ones that you see out in stores are made from not the good quality of magnesium. Ours are all coming from something called Albion Trax, which is a more expensive form of it, but it's more soluble, so it actually works. So you can actually take less and get better results.
But you're spending more money, but you're greatly increasing absorbability, so it's money well spent.
Right, and I'm just going to read it to you because I can't do that. And
put the emotion in that Trish would have.
I have to say this with emotion.
Trisha.
A round of applause for Reacted Magnesium. And just so you folks know, some of the reason why we have not been on the air here in the last week is because we are actually growing. We're growing
so much.
We are getting ready to rebrand some of our products with our Green Wisdom Health logo that Dr. Lewis feels that they're great products. We're not changing the formulas or anything on a lot of them, but we are.
There are a few that will be improved or less expensive or both.
Right, but we're actually going to put our name on a bunch of these products. So this is a big growth phase for us, which takes a lot of time. So we apologize for no show last week, but we're working on it as diligently as we can. So right now, this is called Reacted Magnesium. It is staying the same. It'll just be called something different soon. It says, my daughter has had blood work almost every month for the last 5 years, and her magnesium is always low. She has a prescription for magnesium that they kept increasing the dosage, and still her levels were always low. Anyway, I gave her a bottle of Reacted Magnesium, and she took 2 a day for 2 weeks before her last appointment. For the first time in 5 years, her magnesium levels came back in the normal range. So, you got a prescription magnesium that wasn't doing it, and you have our over-the-counter one that you can purchase from us that did at 2 a day. So that is an incredible testimony. But I wanted to share that with you guys, and now I want Dr. Lewis to tell you more about why you're toxic.
Well, sometimes it's just the way we think, and we don't have enough fun, and I look around America and I think, why in the heck are you not smiling? You know what really gets me is Janet and I have been just a little time in Europe and a little time in China, and those people that are very, very repressed, no, Denmark is in Sweden, they're not the happiest countries in the world. I've talked to people over there, but why is it America has 5% of the world's population? They consume 50% of the world's cocaine. It's because we create our own problems. We actually do about $1 billion a month, or $1 billion a year on Prozac alone. That's scary. Folks, we have a good world. We have to be guarded with what we think and what we speak. And I put this on my shooting straight thing the other day, and I said, God didn't give us a spirit of fear. In 2002, the West Nile virus was going to kill us all. 2004, SARS was going to kill us all. 2005, bird flu was going to kill us all. 2009, swine flu was going to kill us all. 2014, Ebola will kill us all. 2016, Zika will kill us all. And now in 2019, measles. Folks, God gave us an incredible, incredible body. You just have to take care of it. And one of the ways you need to take care of it is go out and have fun. And if you don't have fun, go out and do something really good for somebody else and don't let them catch you doing it. That's a really good feeling. Sometimes it's a food allergy, though. One of the worst things you can put in your body for your mind is wheat. And just in colitis and IBS, dairy is actually the number one thing that you're allergic to. That's 41% of the time. Wheat's 30%, but there's actually a good research article about wheat causing schizophrenia. Chocolate came in at a third of 27% with colitis and IBS. Chocolate was part of it, and I took exception to that. The fourth one was coffee at 23%. I took exception with that. Then nuts, citrus, tea, rye, potatoes, barley, and oats. And it can be other things. There are so many different foods that can trigger allergic reactions, and that's been a bone of contention with me. People are saying, well, do you have a allergy test? No, there's tests that we can send you to do to see if your body is sensitive to or creating antigens against, but I'm not real thrilled with what they're really doing, because people get caught into, well, I have to give up chicken, I have to give up eggs, I have to give up beef, I have to give up wheat. But you forgot about the remove. You got the remove part, but you forgot about replace digestive enzymes, replace with probiotics, and repair gut leakiness. If you don't go those next steps, then you never get as close to 100% as what we're capable of going. So, be careful there. They're all, these diseases we talk about, it's all inflammatory. And glucosamine sulfate, and again, there's better quality ones than others. That's one of the best nutritional alternatives, and one of the reasons is it increases the sulfation pathway of the liver because of the sulfur in it. And if you're allergic to sulfur drugs, that's not the same. You would not be allergic to glucosamine sulfate. That is one of the most helpful. It's very, very researched about. It's good for fortification, could help arthritis. So the scientific evidence that some doctors say, well, it's not scientific. Yeah, it is. Lancet, which is a really good medical journal, said it gave us basically incontrovertible evidence that glucosamine sulfate not only works in the real mechanisms of arthritis over the long run, but short term, it's better than ibuprofen. Remember, ibuprofen is one of the NSAIDs that kills 16,000 a year. Why not do glucosamine sulfate? The worst that could happen is nothing, which it always helps. So, there's a lot of things that can quell inflammation, like the quercetin I talked about, devil's claw, curcumin, turmeric. There's lots and lots of them. Then there's the central nervous system diseases. You've got people, that includes people that are stressed, anxiety-ridden, depressed, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, etc. It could be as simple as hypomethylation. That's lack of B complex. And just because you're taking a multi doesn't mean you're getting good B vitamins that you can actually use. And this hypomethylation has been associated with the neurodegenerative diseases, including stroke, and this is from Journal of Carcinogenesis and Journal of Neurology. Yes, folks, I have exhaustive list of all these research. Inflammation, according to New England Journal of Medicine, contributes to neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's, Alzheimer's, and multiple sclerosis, and they're all inflammatory diseases. So this comes from poor nutrition, toxic environments, and stress. So that ties it back to the toxins. It goes on and on and on. Cortisol, and we always check that on our labs, can have a profound effect on the hypothalamus. Oh, well, we're adversely affecting the brain if it's too high or too low. And that's the stress, whether that's caused by the way you think, whether it's emotional, financial, spiritual, marital. Just change the way you think. Get happy. Find something to live for. Find something to laugh about. Find some way to bless somebody else. Janet and I do it, nutritionally, and we love our jobs. But we also try to step outside the box and help people in other ways. And the more you help somebody else, the more it uplifts you. And before you know it, holy cow, you're not depressed anymore. Oh, my goodness, the anxiety attacks have gotten less or disappeared. It could be that easy.
So, you guys have had a lot of information again today, hopefully. I wanted to mention briefly the one family that, you're talking about toxins, that had just put new carpet in their house and new linoleum in their house, and they were completely worried about their kids now being toxic from it. But, there's things you can do. One of the things we put people on is something called HM chelate because it helps pull out the heavy metals. And that's a great way to kind of get rid of some of those extra toxins, especially if you feel like you're getting a little bit nasally from some of the things you put down. But, a lot of times it's just things you're smelling. We always say if you can smell it, then it's in your system. And there are things that you can do to help with that. So, again, we hope you've enjoyed the show. We are taking next week off again, so please don't be upset with us. But it is our anniversary, and we're going out of town because it's been 19 years. So,
yeah, that's a tough job for Janet. I mean, I've enjoyed it. She's beautiful and smiles a lot. So,
and I need a vacation now, huh? But we really appreciate you listening to us. Stay tuned for some very big announcements with our office. Get on our email list because we'll be sending them out via email as well. We've got some really exciting things coming here at Green Wisdom Health. We hope you have a very blessed week, and we'll be here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You are only one step away from a life worth living.